Hello, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to another podcast. Today I have a very good friend of mine on, and we'll be talking a lot about filmmaking. I think he'll be the one doing most of the talking because he has vast knowledge in the behind the scenes when it comes to film, in awards, nominations and things like that, both local and internationally. So I would actually just let him, tell us more, because I'm learning. Every time I talk to him, I'm learning something new. With me today, without further ado, is TJ.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Wait, I haven't introduced you properly. So TJ is a filmmaker, all in all encompassing. How will I put it? But majorly a director, right?
Yes.
So, and you have directed, you have some films that you've done. Can you go ahead, tell us about what you've done and how did you get this interest in filmmaking? Because I notice your passion is I haven't met anyone that has so much passion as you do when it comes to filmmaking, and it really fills mine. I'm like, if TJ knows all these things, what am I doing? So I would like you to just start from the beginning. Where did it all start, TJ?
I think for me, film started with when I was a kid. I grew up watching films. So even wanting to become a film director, I'm not one of those film directors that had the Super 8 camera or had the camera and run around the house and videoed everyone. I did not do that, but I had this love for film. It was as early as 6 years old. Many people would come back home from school and start playing games. But I was watching films. I would put in the VCR, I'll put in a laser disc into the laser disc player, and I just start watching straight away. And I grew up in insomnia, so I had to wake up around 12 a.m. or 3 a.m. and start watching films, to my mom's frustration. But that's where it was born. I saw Psycho, Alfred Hitchcock's film, when I was 11 years old. I think I saw Birds when I was 9, and so I had to thank my dad for that as well, because he too was a cinephile. And so because of him, I became a student of film. It was always bringing. I'd watched 3 Hitchcock films before I was a teenager, and I had seen Jaws, and I had seen Godfather 1, 2, 3. I had seen Brian De Palma films, and so at that young age, I think watching the films of this legend, this filmmakers of the past, I'm like, what's going on here? And I think the main love, so also film, I was a student of film, but the main love for filmmaking was New York in 1999. We were spending our summer holiday there. We were there, I think, from June to early September, and we were walking down the street, and then we got into a different street in Manhattan, and it was raining. So I was confused. We just came from a different street. It wasn't raining, and now when a different street is raining, what's going on? Then I didn't know about juju and jazz, because we were at Gibraltar, so we didn't know. Our parents kind of hid all these things from us. But then, so I was trying to find out, why is it raining on this street? And then I saw this machine with water pouring out from it, and I saw the cameras, and I'm like, well, I'm making a film here. And so I stood there. Is that what they call it? Yes, rain machine. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then I said, oh my goodness. I was telling my mom, they're making a film. And she said, let's go, because we're meant to go shopping at a Macy's. I didn't want to go shopping anymore. That was not my business. I wanted to that's when I fell in love with filmmaking. Wow. I stood there for a good, so my brothers had to stand there with me, my mom had to stand there with me, this guy's wasting our time. We have a lot to cover today. I just watching, wow. And I came back to Nigeria, and anytime I saw rain fall in the film, I was telling my friends, guys, I know how that happened. And then I think in 2000 as well, we were in New York again, and they were making another film. And then I saw it, and I'm like, oh wow, I would like to do this at some point in my life. And now here I am after all this many years.
Wow, that's an amazing story. And you know what, I kind of relate to that story, because although with me, I've always loved making film. I love watching films. But it was when I went to film school. You know, I've made attempts to do films and they were not successful. That's why I actually applied to the film school. So it was when I went to the film school studying art direction for film, I realized that most of these things, like you said, the rain machine is what is used for the rain. Everything is so intentional when it comes to filmmaking. I didn't have a clue. I thought I did, but it just, that course just opened my eyes like wider, and I was like, every single thing, you know. And that's amazing, because then you can just go wild and create anything you want. So yes, awesome story. So for those who are by now wondering, like, okay, this voice is not normal, oh. As in this voice, you know, after you've heard him speak, I'm sure you're like, this guy should not just be doing film, he should be doing something like with his voice. Yes, he is a voice-over actor as well, right? So yeah, well done. Well done. So tell me, the films you've worked on so far, your film, you know, talk about them a bit.
Yeah, so the first short film I worked on was Paul, which we made in short film 2019. Screened in a few film festivals abroad, screened in Egypt and South Africa. Surprisingly, didn't get to screen in Nigeria, which is fine. And so it hasn't been viewed. It's only been viewed by family and friends. But I plan to release it next year before the election, because it was based on 2 corrupt polling officials. So I was kind of waiting till, I think, pre-election, and then I'll release it maybe on Vimeo or YouTube. It's already on Vimeo, but it's private viewing. So that's what I worked on, and it was amazing, but it was intense. It was intense because we had this scene. You know, we had checked weather forecasts on our phones and we'd planned a day, and we get on set. First of all, Nigerian time, people were late to set. Like, what's going on? I was very upset. And then we started shooting. I think so at some point around noon, rain started falling. I'm like, what's happening here? I don't understand what's going on, guys. And so we had to pause the shoot. And people were asking, we'll come back tomorrow. No, we're finishing this film today. And then the part that, you know, just really, I was completely flabbergasted by it. So before we got on set, people were saying, make sure you have money, or this amount of money on set. And I was confused, because I've been on set in the UK before, and I didn't know about carrying a particular amount of money on set. But then we were shot in a school, and I think around 4 p.m, which we're just about to wrap up from the school, and we get locked inside the school by area boys, touts. They lock us inside and like, oh, you're shooting in a jar. We shot in a jar, and you didn't inform us. You people would sleep here tonight. And I turned to the first AD, and I said, guys, what's going on? I wanted to go talk to them, and they told me, no, Tejiri, hang back. If you can talk to them, they'll add extra money. So the production assistant and the producer talked to them. Of course, I had to settle them, which is just a weird experience for me. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's Nigerian filmmaking. This was 2019. Okay. This was 2019. So yeah, the film did okay in film festivals, but yeah, it would be released publicly before the election. And of course, now I'm working on something very powerful, another short film, which apparently you're involved in.
Yes, I'm involved in the short film that we'll be doing soon, and I'm so excited because we've been working on it. Post-production started last year, and yeah, that's late last year, right? Yeah, late last year, the whole of this year, and then we'll be shooting next year. So you guys should expect a banger. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna drop something hot. Tell me, TJ, I want you to talk about this whole nomination, the Oscars nomination that's going to be happening soon. How soon will it really be happening?
January.
In January.
Created a shortlist for the main thing.
Yeah, so I want you to just give me your own reviews on it. So Yeah, go ahead, take it away.
I mean, look, first of all, let me just say this. First of all, I've been screaming about Decisions to Leave. I don't know how many people have seen that film. It's by Park Chan-wook, who also directed, I believe it was The Handmaiden. That's a brilliant film as well. So if you haven't seen that, go check that out. He's a legend. Decisions to Leave, yeah. So it's, I told everyone it's going to be nominated for Best, obviously, foreign language film, Best International Feature Film, and it got nominated. And I was telling you about Kosage as well, the film from Austria, and it got nominated. And they're always this gems. I always talk about them. No one listens to me until they get the Oscar nom. So yeah, they're there. Which would bring me into Kunle's film, which was, everyone screamed about it. Why did they get disqualified by the Oscars? The Oscars, they hate Nigerian films, they hate African films. But here's what's interesting. We talked about this yesterday afternoon, way before the shortlist came out. I was telling you about a film from Morocco called The Blue Kaftan, which is a brilliant film. And there you have it. That's an African film there. They're African films too on Criterion Collection. So there is, if your film is good, if your film tells a particular kind of story, you're going to be acknowledged and sort of credited by film critics and film festivals and, you know, obviously the Oscars. That's what it comes down to. But fantastic nominations. I was impressed with pretty much all the categories. Live action short film, I haven't seen any film that was on there. There was a rumor about Taylor Swift's music video making it. It didn't. Some are saying
that
it was,
she directed.
Yeah, I watched it. Some are saying it was snubbed. I don't know about that though, because I've watched it a few times. I think she's done a great job. I liked the whole scarf, you know, thing and the way it ended. It's a great short, but then again, also is it a short? It's more a music video than a short. There are a few scenes where there's dialogue, which is very powerful. And I think she shot on Kodak, if I'm not mistaken. Shot on film, so that's huge. I think she's done a good job. But then again, I can't really judge because I haven't watched the short films that got nominated. But then again, I'm not entirely surprised. You know, I think it's All Too Well. That's the mother film. Didn't get nominated. I was rooting for this film from Bangladesh, a short film that didn't get nominated as well. I think Jordan Peele was involved in that, and Riz Ahmed. No live action short from Nigeria. A very good friend of mine, Mike, made this film called Rehearsal, which picked up, which won in an Oscar qualifying film festival. But yeah, that's still a brilliant film. Check that out too, Rehearsal. Great film. But yeah, great nominations. Batman's in there for best sound, best makeup. I called that a long time ago. My cousin, if he's listening to this rumor, I told him when Batman came out to listen to me, they're going to be nominated for best makeup because of Colin Farrell's. For those that have watched the Batman, and some people don't still know that Colin Farrell played the Penguin because they either didn't see the credit roll or they're not on IMDb or IMDb Pro, whatever it is. So yeah, for those that don't know, Colin Farrell played the Penguin, and yes, so it was that good. No one knew. So I mean, it was very obvious that we're going to get into the best makeup. Whether the winner remains to be seen, but I'm looking forward to January. This is where the big guns. You know, we hear the final nominations for those that were shortlisted.
So right now, there are how many that have been nominated?
Yeah, so last night was pretty much just a shortlist. So
Shortlist.
Yeah,
okay.
so we're seeing like 12 films and live action shorts. We're seeing about roughly about 10 to 12 films to international feature film, makeup, and the other categories that came out last night. So in January, they will now get streaming down to the final 5 films.
We have 5.
Yeah, about 5 or 6. Yeah, so some films that were nominated last night would lose out. They wouldn't make the final cut, so to speak. But I'm looking forward to best actor, best supporting actor, best actress, best picture. Fabelmans. This is just my opinion. I think it's either going to win best directing or best picture. If you're a filmmaker or a cinephile, you have to see that by Steven Spielberg. What a film. Was an emotional roller coaster for me. And people don't know about it, and there's this whole talk about it bombing in the theaters, which surprised me. I don't know, streaming, we should talk about that as well. Streaming, I think it's outdoing the theaters this day, but credit to James Cameron with Avatar. He's made his money back.
Avatar.
He's made his money back. That's probably going to win best VFX as well, 100%. But yeah, it's the film is just a beautiful thing. Do you know? Fun fact: I have never gone a day in my life without watching a film or an episode of a TV series. So there's no light, this generator. Thank God for that. And for some reason, if the gen's not working, I still get to watch something at least on my laptop. But I don't do phones. I don't watch my content on phone. Laptop or TV or in the theaters. I don't do phone. I think it's a crime. And there's a dialogue about that in my upcoming short film. I'm not going to go into details about that, but yes, I'm with Scorsese in that. I'm with Martin Scorsese in that. I think it's criminal to watch films on your phone.
Guys, you heard it from the man himself. It is criminal for you to watch films on your phone. Why though? As I want to actually give me more details, because we have good phones now. The screens are getting wider. Although the screens are really getting wider. Oh my God. You'll be wondering, like, very soon you must be carrying a full TV on your arm, because I'm like, can they make it smaller? But yeah, I think what they're actually doing is, the smaller it is, more expensive, then the bigger it is cheaper. That's the scope now.
Right.
Interesting. So tell me, yes, why? Because I watch films on my phone. And it's not bad. By the time you wear your earphones, you're watching, you're seeing everything. It's close to your eyes. You can even put it on your eyeball. Why don't you think it's cool?
Yeah, I don't know. Actually, I do know. I think for me, so first of all, it's similar to why I don't do ebooks. I prefer the book in my hand and read it, because with watching films on your phone or reading a book, reading an ebook, you're going to get distracted, whether or not you want to. A phone call is going to come in at some point, or you're going to get a notification from Instagram, or God forbid you're watching a scene you don't find interesting. You're like, let me just quickly hop on social media and see what's happening. Because I hear people that, I remember a friend of mine, she was telling me she was watching, I think it was Tenet, and then I think the next day I asked her, okay, so what's your take on Nolan's film? And she said, she hasn't finished it. And the day after that, I'm like, okay, so what's your take? She's like, she hasn't. I'm like, wait, 2 days in, you haven't finished this film? I was like, she has clients to call or check on, and so that's a problem, because you end up getting distracted by other content. And for me, when I watch a film, it's 100% focus. There's that, but also you're never quite doing justice to the film. Most of the film, at least these days, is shot on Panavision, they're shot on IMAX cameras, they're shot with Arri Alexa Mini ELF. And so when you watch it on your phone, you're never quite getting, credit to the phones that come out these days and the quality of pictures and videos, but it's not the same thing. It's not, even with sound, even if you're using a noise cancellation headphones, it's not the same. You're not going to get the same sound you're going to get if you're in the cinema. That's why I think cinema shouldn't die. There's still power with cinema. Cinema should remain alive for as long as possible. So you never quite get those things. And I just think it's general, not just film. It's like watching a football match on your phone as compared to watching a football match on television. Image quality wise, you're never going to get the same thing. So there's just that difference. I think for me, at least for me, and if you're my friends, if you're going to watch stuff on your phone, it should be YouTube videos, maybe animation. I'm a big anime fan. And short stuff, short films, of course, as well, because most of them you find out on YouTube or Vimeo. Even though when I even watch short films, I watch them on my laptop, not on my phone.
Wow. That's interesting, man. That means I have to dip in my passion. My passion is not deep enough. I have to make it deeper, so I can only start watching films on TV and big screens. So guys, that's my friend for you. Like, he's so, whatever he does it with his whole self, literally. Your focus, your attention to details is like top notch.
Yes. I mean, I'm glad you've brought that up. I mean, you can even see how I'm stressing you with the production design and the prop set, because I think this is where Nollywood, I'm not saying I'm definitely not your pata. I still have a lot to learn when it comes to film, but in regards to Nollywood, I think we don't push ourselves enough and we don't have as much attention to detail as we should. The likes of the Guillermo del Toro's and the Christopher Nolan's, it's perfection or nothing. And so remember again, not going into too much detail, but we're designing this chess thingy, and I remember you first asking, we could just get a normal chess board and chess pieces, and I said no bloody way. And then we talked about what we wanted chess pieces to look like, and then we're kind of walking in that. So you're correct there. Serious attention to detail.
It makes a great filmmaker, because if you even look at the greats, their films are not done in matter of months, or we're talking about years. Most of the great films that we know don't just happen in months. That's great. I can't wait to see what our film is going to look like. I'm so excited, so excited. You have no clue. Okay, maybe you do. What else do I want to talk to you about when it comes to filmmaking? We even just touched on it right now, like the importance of pre-production. I just feel like in every podcast I do, I want to mention it, because I think it was one thing. There are other areas that we need improvement, but I think that area is really, we really need improvement there. And like you said, we need to give it that time, in making sure that whatever we're doing comes out top notch. Do you think the Nollywood audience are ready to start, digesting these contents? Do you think they are ready? Or do you think, they are just, it's been said several times that the Nigerian audience only just wants something funny, that's the end, or something either funny or people are quarreling in the film. That's the spectrum. I don't really know. Comedy sells a lot in Nigeria, right? But what about the stories that are told in art forms? Like every frame is an art piece. You know what I'm saying? Those films go to film festivals, and we don't get to talk about it much in the Nollywood, the Nollywood industry, literally. Why is that? And do you think we are gradually heading that way? Do you think that soon people will have interest in it and it will blow up? People will be interested in film for art's sake? Do you think so?
I don't know. I think with the Nigerian audience, I think the content we're too satisfied with pedestrian content, and we're like you mentioned, we like humor, and that's not a crime. There's beauty in comedy. We look at the likes of Jim Carrey and Charlie Chaplin. In many ways saved cinema, or blessed people. If you're down in comedy, there's a beauty. It's adds quality of life. But then we're too stuck on that, I think, because when it comes to horror or thriller, a genre which I love rather much, we tend to shy away from that. And I was talking with the first AD for our film last night. We spoke for like 1 hour, and we talked about that, of how horror and thriller films don't do well in Nigeria. Even the ones that come into the country, like Hollywood films, they don't do well. And I'm always scratching my head, like, what's going on? Why is this happening? Or even with I know Top Gun Maverick came out this year. What a film. I think it got nominated for Best Sound as well. I'm sure it's going to get a few more nominations. But we're only 6 in the cinema when I went to go and see it. I'm like, what's going on here? Where's everyone else? Or my friend's film, Juju Stories, that came out, we're only like 5. It did well, but then it didn't do as well as it should have. So we tend to be drawn more towards comedy, or we tend to be drawn more towards superhero films. That's what everyone wants to watch. It's always sold out, and superhero is always sold out. When it comes to, and then we also look at the part where I don't know if it's the cinemas. I don't want to attack the cinemas, or if it's again us as movie lovers and movie goers. Because you look at a lot of films. Look at most of the films that were nominated last night. and the ones that will be nominated next month, they didn't come to the Nigerian cinema. I think Batman obviously came here. Black Panther, of course, is a superhero film. As is Batman, Alice. Matt Reeves made it a very dark version of Batman, which I loved. But these are the films that are coming here. Tar didn't come here, which I screamed about. I was very upset by it. And so yeah, there are all these films. Look at some Steven Spielberg's films, The Fablemans. They didn't come to the cinema here. So it's, I don't know, I think it's us as a people. We, even with the screenplay, our film, you've read it. There's a BFI alumni friend of mine, alumnus, as a Berlinale film critic that read it, and part of what made them happy is there's no humor at all. It's a bit of romance. I don't want to spoil the film, but there's no humor, and the Nigerians are already like, oh, Tejiri, you didn't put any humor in this film, now for you. I'm like, yeah, it's thriller. It's not supposed to have humor. If you watch Hitchcock films, you rarely see humor there. If you watch Guillermo del Toro films, you rarely see humor there. Maybe the likes of Quentin Tarantino has got a bit of dry humor in his film. Yeah. So I think that's the thing. I think we're too addicted to humor in our films. Some will go, okay, yes, because of the state of the country, we need that to keep a smile on our face. So I get that bit. But in regards to the art form, we're just talking about that not too long ago, about cinematography, and it's, I think for me, our stories, they've improved compared to the 90s and the early 2000s, but the stories are still, in the way the greats have said it, from Spielberg to Nolan, to Hitchcock, to Clouseau, you're going to tell a story. Even Park Chan-wook, again, which directed The Decision to Leave, and one of my favorite directors, Bong Joon-ho, they all say the same thing. It always goes down to the screenplay. And I always tell fellow scriptwriters or upcoming scriptwriters, take your time. You don't have to finish your screenplay in 2 weeks. You don't have to get to the final draft in 1 month. Take your time, because it's all about, there's only, sometimes if the screenplay is rubbish, there's only so much the film director can do to save it.
That's true. The stories need to improve.
Yes. So there's it's and then there's that predictability. There's always the predictability with the film. There's always the predictability with the poster. We have that thing with Nollywood films. There's always a predictability with the name of the film. Coming up with our film, Naked, it wasn't overnight. I didn't come up with that overnight. Okay. And I tell you what, only a Sundance alumnus, and a friend of mine who works with New York Film Festival have gotten, like, when I asked them straight away, what do you think this name means for the film? Only the only ones that have gotten it right. Then again, there's no real wrong answer.
Yeah, that's true.
There's no real wrong answer. There's no wrong answer. There's no right or wrong. Everyone that's giving their thoughts as to what they think it means, they're not necessarily wrong. But then, yeah, it's thrown people off. So even with naming your film, just start there. Forget about the screenplay even. Just with naming your film, it goes. Yes, it goes a long way. It doesn't have to be a one-word title. Nolan is notorious with that, as am I. Following Interstellar, Inception, one word, Oppenheimer, Tenet. It could be something long, and it will still make a great film. The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. That's a very long title, but what a film that was. So yeah, There Will Be Blood by Paul Thomas Anderson. What a film that was. So let's see the name and let it be striking, and let's. Just the summary, I think, is we don't like films that make us think. Even with the title, Paul Thomas Anderson, There Will Be Blood. I don't ever want to see that. It's going to have plenty of blood. Ironically, the film wasn't gory, but then so it's striking. Your name should intrigue the audience. The name of the film should intrigue the audience. The Fablemans, we know about Spielberg's story, but then if you didn't read the synopsis, you don't know what the film is about just by the name. So I think we have to improve on that.
Yeah, we really have a lot of areas we need to improve in the industry, and it's good we're talking about it so that we can all take note and work towards it, really. Speaking of names, I remember when the King of Boys came out, I was like, oh, nice, and then there was King of Thieves, and I was like, huh? Like, the name too. I think there was even King of something else, or that was it. I was like, what's next? Is it King of Akamu? Like, I don't understand. And then there's movies that have like similar names in the industry. I noticed, like, even in the name, it's not original.
Exactly.
Why?
Exactly.
Anyway, yeah, that's why we need to take our time, really. When you're creating art, if you want to create art, it takes time, because the ideas will come, you work on it, goes until you are sure that is the idea, then you go back to it and then you make it happen. You know what I'm saying? So a lot can change in the process of creating art. And in my previous podcast, I've mentioned, I even have a podcast that says art takes time, and for good reason. You know, you can't listen to it. So what else can we talk about? I feel like we've really covered a lot, and I don't want us to even talk too much, so that we can, you know, because we have to do this again.
It's fine.
You know, left for us, we'll talk to end of today, but yeah, let us just give them a taste, you know what I'm saying? Then we'll give them another one. So you guys stay tuned if you want to listen to us talk about film and you want to learn one or two, then you need to stay tuned to this podcast. Thank you so much, TJ, for, you know, joining me on this. Is there any last thing you want to say?
Never stop watching films. And then, of course, what I mean by that as well is, I think, again, going back to Nollywood again, and going back to how we're glued to a particular type of film. It's growing up, we watched all sorts of films, foreign language films. I saw Bicycle Thieves, I think when I was 14 or 15, the Italian classic. I saw La Haine, I think when I was in 100 level or something like that. And so we restrict ourselves to English language films. Let me phrase it that way. And so we don't want to watch. I knew a lot of people. I was telling them, okay, go watch Parasite or go watch Memories of Murder. Again, Bong Joon-ho, what a master that man is. Or go watch Pan's Labyrinth, Guillermo's. I mean, what a film. That's the thing, just so many films. But some people don't want to watch them because of subtitles, because of that stuff underneath the black bar. And you miss out on so much content. So just watch stuff, watch foreign language films, watch short films, watch feature-length films, watch black and white films, watch color films, watch films in different aspect ratios. There's just so much content. Just watch as much as possible. Do not restrict yourself to, oh, it has to be a film in 16:9, or it has to be a film shot with its camera. It has
to have certain actors inside.
Exactly. So I think that's another thing. We are, and to be fair, the marketers or the production studios, they capitalize on that. You may see a film and then, Nancy, I don't want to mention too many names, but Nancy was in this film, or Richard Murphy was in this film, and then that's why they want to go and see the film, not because of the story. That's not your business. You know, my person is in the film, and Nollywood audience, we're very notorious with that. As compared to, I'm the kind of person that I go see a film, I have no idea about any of the actors or actresses in the film. Probably don't know who the film director is. When I go watch it, and what a film, you're blown away. So that's another thing we should, dare I say, be blind to which actor or actress is in the film.
Stop being biased.
Stop being biased. There we go. And you just go watch it blindly, and then you'll be surprised by what you see.
Awesome. It's lovely having you on this podcast, like I said before. Thank you so much. Where can people find you on social media?
I'm not that big on social media. Not the biggest fan. I'm rarely there. Maybe once a day, once in 2 days. But yeah, at TJ_Max _Oru on Instagram. And I think my Twitter is Mr. Tejiri Oru. But yeah.
If you're thinking what else to type,
there you go. Exactly.
Just go to the Instagram.
I'm not very big on social media. No.
I think you are doing well on social media, especially Instagram. I don't think you are just the one that is, you know, maybe on Twitter you're not, but on Instagram you do post like reviews and as in your way of rating films, and I even consider you a film critic.
Yeah.
You know, to an extent, because
fully
yeah, and that's why I follow your page. You know, one of the reasons anyway. Cool. So, guys, go and follow TJ. You know what I mean? If you love film, go and follow him. And yeah, you can follow Artcast Tribe at Artcast_tribe on Instagram, and myself at mimi.d.designer. Yeah. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day. Bye.
Yeah, that was fun. Thank you.